Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember,
I'm being joined one of the leaders of the northern region of the country, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed. He joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
It was reported that the northern leaders and the governors have come to an agreement that state policing is away. Give us an understanding of this position and perhaps some of what was considered before coming to this point.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I think you would notice is that the position of the northern traditional rulers and the governors came in a little bit late. It's one of the last voices to be heard in this area. There has been until now a near universal consensus that the nation does require subnational police systems. The traditional rulers and the governors took considerable amount of time to study the situation because it was important to avoid a number of errors. First, a matter of this importance should not be handled as a knee-jerk reaction. And two, it should not be a reaction against somebody's reaction. The North needed to study this issue about state policing, both in its context and in terms of its place in the demand for restructuring the country and readdressing issues about our coexistence as a federation. That is important. That's why it took so long. I think that the final decision taken to support the call for policing is the right one. It addresses a fundamental failure of the Nigerian state to secure citizens. Under the circumstances, it's the only meaningful solution, but it's contextualized in a number of very important issues. Policing is a fundamental governance service institution, and you don't toy around with policing. We've seen states that are in the forefront of the demand for policing, and we understand that it has been substantially a reaction to immediate issues. You want to avoid major constitutional amendments around something like policing because of one or two issues that are transitory. Political, transitory. Even events that can be handled if you had a firmer political leadership, if you had a stronger leadership, hardest farmers clashes, some governors who are playing to populist sentiments. These are not grounds to amend the Constitution and create things like policing. If we have to have state policing, it must be informed by a more fundamental considerations. For instance, what kind of country do we need? If you have state policing, you are likely to end up with 37 different police formations. You have a federal police, 36 police formations. Who's establishing the standards? Who's establishing professionalism? What is their scope? Are they all going to have the same remit, the same scope, the same responsibilities? Are they going to be informed by different considerations? There's a more worrying issue. Governors are going to have the overwhelming influence on them. And you can see the evidence on the ground. Our democratic process has created monsters. I don't mean the monsters in the sense that it is, but the democratic process in Nigeria has produced governors that have virtually become the embodiment of everything in the country. And those who express worry about what governors would do are justified in worrying about the long-term effect of having policing under them, even if it is limited in terms of its scope and its impact. On the other hand, you cannot fault the argument that the current arrangement where there's only one federal police has failed woefully. Nigeria is one of the very few federal systems in the world, very few, that have only one police system. most federal systems in the world have the federal state, federal and police and police from the federating units. Nigeria is one of the very few, though. Yeah. Then there's the fundamental question: have we interrogated the presidential system of government yet? There's a huge opinion that is, and yet unexpressed, that says, why don't you just put the entire Nigerian system on the table and find out what is wrong and why it's wrong and what's right, what can work, what you need to change. Why aren't we asking whether the presidential system is the wrong system?
You think it's wrong?
Well, there is a school of thought that says we run the parliamentary system for 5 years. 5. Under independent Nigeria. From 1960 to 1966.
Yeah.
We never went back to it. We never knew whether it would work. The military created the presidential system because it was the mirror image.
You
of the
were
military.
very much here at the time. I wasn't. So you probably will know whether, in comparison to what worked at that time. I understand how that works. I know how that system works. I know the tenets of the parliamentary system of government. But in reality, in comparison to the presidential system, which do you think favors the Nigerian complexity more?
I think that, let me answer your question this way. We have not interrogated both systems sufficiently, and we should.
Do you think the presidential system has failed?
The presidential system is, no, I think it's shown all its weaknesses enough for us to actually say it's time to examine whether it's serving our interests.
But can
it creates very powerful figures, presidents and governors. Huge amounts of power and responsibility and resources are centered around individuals. If you get the wrong people, they abuse these powers. You end up with a democratic system like ours, which shrinks around people who are in government. And it doesn't work for the people.
If you want to build a great nation, you don't need big people, but you need good systems.
You need good systems, you need good institutions, you need to devolve power and responsibility so that the ordinary citizen can actually have some influence over what happens. The presidential system that we have run, it's not the same all over the world, but the one we have run has essentially created a lot of very powerful, very strong people. Governors, what's going on now? Talk to political parties. Some of them will tell you, a governor says, don't come and campaign in my state. You have to ask, with all due respect to the governors, and I have to be careful here about my language, but who told you it's your state? There is a constitution that says people should campaign wherever they are, wherever they choose, so long as they do not break any law. But governors can actually decide whether campaigning, which is central to the 2023 elections, takes place under a free atmosphere. Governors control the entire resources available to their states. They decide whatever happens in their states. That is not the intention. The president of Nigeria is one of the most powerful leaders anywhere in the world. He's created by a constitution that created the presidential system of government that gives him awful amount of powers. So it's time to examine this. We can only do this, however, not in this rather excited and troublesome environment. We want to debate state policing, federal systems, presidential system. It has to be something that has to take place after the elections by a government, which should commit now.
All right. Let's take a quick break. There are a few issues that we need to interrogate. There is a Hisba in Kano State. There is the vigilante groups. Call it a proliferation of local tendencies of security outfits that's created by each state government. And you cannot blame them because they needed to set this up to protect themselves. The governors are taking their own initiative in protecting their own territories. How this is working? The governor of Ondo State, Governor Akeredolu, has questioned, brought up a constitutional issue, whether or not the Amotekun can bear arms. And he said he will make them bear arms. I'll get your views and how the Northwest region, the Northern region generally, can better protect itself. They have very, very, very interesting figures about fatalities, which the Northern region has a huge part of it in August. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we come back, our conversation on national security continues. so much, everyone, for staying with us. Dr. Hakim Ahmed is a spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum. He's been speaking with us, and we're focusing on security of Nigeria. It's critical at this point because elections, campaigns are almost here, and those who question the security situation in the country, whether or not we are able to go into campaigns or election as we are right now. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed, for your time tonight. So I was asking you about the powers of the governors. There is Hisba in Kano, there is Amotekun in the southwest region, and there is Ibubu in the southeast region. It does look like the governors are taking responsibilities of what happened in their territory, because the federal, the national security system seems to have failed at some point. And if you look at it critically, you see that some governors are already taking the battle a step further, saying we've set up these local outfits and these local networks, but they are not able to effectively police. They will still need to bear arms. The governor of Zamfara said as much. This governor of Benue State said the latest was the governor of Ondo State, who says he will arm the Amotekun security outfit. Let me get your view on that position of some of these governors. Do you think that these local outfits should be arms?
No, first of all, why don't we ask, what's causing all this creation of state policies, different types,
the local policies here?
First, you need to understand that there is a failure of policing as an instrument of governance. The Nigeria police has woefully failed to exercise its responsibilities. The vacuum, however, is being exploited by governors who are creating outfits and arming them, some of them, and equipping them and giving them powers, policing powers, under laws created by them that fundamentally ought to have been challenged by the federal government in the first place. That's the first thing. I think the federal government has failed in two areas. Its policing has failed, collapsed. Literally. There's no policing as an institution in this country. There's very, very little of it. What the governors are creating are outfits that serve their interests. Their standing in law is questionable. The fact that the center is weak, cannot question them, cannot call them to order, is very dangerous, because it means that you can create an outfit and give them and decide how much power they should have. The debate, the argument between the governor and the man is very interesting. The Ondo State governor, he says, look, in Katsina State, they are arming people. And who would stop me? I will arm people. I would arm Amotekun. And I want to see who will stop me. Now, these are governors, people sworn to protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The governor of Ondo State is a very senior lawyer. You would think.
Can you blame him?
No, I'm saying that there is a vacuum which has been exploited by people who should protect the Constitution. Nobody is protecting the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not the federal government, because it is failing in its duty to provide an effective police system that will obviate the need for governors to play to galleries, because they are playing to galleries.
Because I'm asking who will blame him, because he's sworn to protect his own people.
Yes.
And when it looks like it cannot, with the system that is in place, don't you think he needs to think outside the box?
What we need to ask is he protecting his people, or is he just simply playing to a gallery? How do you protect the citizens of Ondo State with a police, an outfit that has no powers to bear arms under the law of the country? They don't have the powers to do that. Now, he says, I don't care about the law. I would arm my people because I need to protect my people. Basically, that's what he's saying. Otherwise, it shouldn't be difficult. This is not rocket science.
It's not a first person saying that he will arm the security outfit.
I understand.
The governor of Benue said so.
Yes, it doesn't make it legal. I'm saying that if all the governors decide to pursue an illegality, still doesn't make it legal. It means all of them are violating the law. Maybe there is some room in the legal system and in the Constitution that says you can do a Hisba, or you can do a Motekun, you can do the Agbebu, whatever it's called, but don't arm them. That one is very clear. The law is very explicit.
How do you think it's best to defend one's own territory against an opposition that is heavily armed, and when the state is not able to do that for you?
Yeah, exactly. Now we're back to the point I raised. The issue of state police must be put in the context of a wider issue. There ought to be a major national review of what we need to perform basic functions of policing and law and order responsibilities of the state. Should it be everybody for himself? Should governors decide and design policing the way they want it? Or should we reinvent, recreate, and reinforce the federal police? Or should we have both? These are all options. Some states can have state police. If they choose to operate only under federal police, they can do so. But is that the only answer? Do you think this country can tolerate 37 different police outfits? If you say yes, then you have to answer a number of questions. Who's setting the standard for these policies? Who's determining the scope and the responsibilities that they have? Who should call them to order? How do they relate with the wider police? In the US, for instance, state police have responsibilities for certain crimes and certain responsibilities. Federal police have powers and responsibilities for particular types of crimes. Basic law and order issues are left to federating units. There are a lot of federal systems that we should look at and benefit from. But what you're seeing in Nigeria are knee-jerk reactions and responses from governors who are simply playing to a gallery. And what we need, and again, I emphasize this, we need to go back to whose responsibility it is to secure citizens. It's a failure of the federal government. It owns the police. It's responsible for policing.
Elections are around the corner. And
yes,
there will be campaigns will start in another week. So we will come to the question of people will make promises. And I think that also the citizens need to set the right tone of the kind of conversation that should be held during the campaigns. What matter to them? What are the agenda that citizens, or what the things that matter to them? Because if your child is going to resume school, the child will tell you, these are the things that I need to succeed. So the citizens of Nigeria needs to be telling the political class, these are the things that we need to succeed as a people. And I think that security should be topmost. We should be asking critical questions of politicians, isn't it, about how they hope to secure this country. Are you opposed, or what do you think of those who think that restructuring is a way to go? And those who also debate that restructuring means different things to different people, depending on where they are sitting or where they're looking at it from. Now, in terms of securing this nation, what must be urgently done?
I'm glad you asked that question, because 3 days ago I attended a very important meeting in Kaduna involving 4 or 5 very important groups. The idea is to design a template that includes issues about security, economy, education, coexistence of Nigerian communities, and then interrogate our presidential candidates very seriously on their thinking in terms of what they plan to do. This is very important. This time, I don't know what the other parts of the country are doing, but the North is not just going to vote for any candidate unless we are satisfied that he has done some serious thinking in terms of what to do about this country.
That's a consensus.
In the North, yes. Absolutely.
Has it not agreed on the issues they're looking forward to?
Well,
the kind of candidate
we have ideas about what the next president should look like, what is important for the next administration.
And what are these issues?
Well, first of all, we need to resecure the country. Absolutely resecure the country. Secondly, we need to ask basic questions about why the economy is failing and what they intend to do about it. Then we want to ask about what their plans are or their thinking is in terms of all this clamor that we must change this, we must restructure this, what they are their thinking. We have our own thinking. 4, we want to ask what their plans are for education, particularly out-of-school children in the northern part of the country. 34 million out-of-school children. What do you intend to do with it? And we would ask all presidential candidates who are willing to sit with us. And it is planned to be a very serious, very hopefully, very productive interrogation. And I'm telling you, it will be the basis on which the North will support a candidate.
So, I mean, does the North, does it matter where the candidate comes from?
Well, what he or she intends to do, in terms of satisfying us that he has the mental capacity, the physical capacity, the intellect, the willingness to tap into the best and the brightest that is available, sensitivity to a number of key issues that are central to our survival as a country. Those things are going to represent for us the basis upon which we can.
So it doesn't matter which region of the country such a person comes from?
At this stage, our options are open. Our options are open. We would not vote on narrow prisms like where you come from.
So the northern elites have considered on that?
Well, there's nothing to. There was never to concede or not to concede in the first place. Northern Elders Forum. I can speak for Northern Elders Forum.
Yeah.
I can speak for the Northern Elders Forum. We have never said we will not support. We would only support a northern candidate. What we said is we will defend the rights of Northerners to compete freely and equally with others. We will support a Northerner if we think he's the best, and we don't need to apologize for that at all. We will support a Southerner if we believe that he's the best that can do service, do justice to the interests of the North as well as the interests of other parts of the country. That has always been our position. It hasn't changed. What is important to emphasize here is that we're I don't know where it comes into this. Equity, the issue of equity is represents for us the best for the future in the North. Like I said, we have identified a number of issues that we believe are central to our interests in the North. And to be honest with you, they are all interrelated. They are also central to the interests of everybody else in the country. We don't see the North in isolation. We see ourselves in relationship.
Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remain blessed. If you are joining me from Africa, Asia, Europe, America, Australia, or any part of the world, I thank you very much for your contribution. Please, each time you watch my video, go to the comment section and put down your comments. That is where we learn from each other. We learn a lot from the comment section. I don't speak alone. I am speaking with you. You can equally contribute. You can criticize if you so desire, but do it constructively so that we can learn from one another. That is why we're here. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, you have to say what is happening in your own area. Whatever happens, if you see something, say something. Don't be silent. We cannot allow the conventional media to continue to change the narrative. We cannot allow the conventional media to continue to play down the situation. We will continue to bring the situation the way it is and say it straight the way it is without hating anybody. We are not preaching hate speech. We are not talking down anybody. We say leave and let's leave. And for those who say we will not leave, just like the Fulani Janjaweed have said, they will not leave either.
They represent an agenda, not the agenda, an agenda of the North. Hopefully they can use it. If there is coincidence in terms of thinking between them and us, fine. They can then take it to the rallies and they can use them in their policy papers. If they can convince us that they have ideas that are different from ours, that are better, we would look at them on their own merit and support them.
The Northern Elders Forum supported Buhari in 2015, right?
Yes.
Who did he support in 2019? Was the same Buhari?
No, we campaigned against Buhari. We told Nigerians not to vote for Buhari in 2019 because the Buhari didn't do well in the fourth.
So you supported Atiku in 2019?
Well, obviously he was the only option available.
Are you supporting Atiku again this time around?
No, and we're not supporting anybody. We're going to support the best candidate that satisfies us that he or he represents the best option for the North.
Does Peter Obi or Kwankwaso or Atiku?
We will put them through. We will put all those candidates through a very rigorous process if they are willing. And they had better be willing because, believe me, I'm not saying this to impress anybody, but we we carry a responsibility on our shoulders to advise a lot of people in the North where to go. And we will exercise that responsibility very seriously.
You think the North will vote in a bloc this time around?
The North has always voted in a bloc. Substantially, it's... let me say this. What we will not do is do what we did in 2015. Just simply say it must be, say Baba, say Baba, say Baba, and then we escort him to the villa. And we don't sit him down and say, please say Baba, sit down. What do you plan to do? We know you've said you will fix the economy, you'll fix security. I mean, yes, and you'll fix Boko Haram. But please, sir, can you be a bit more detailed? The North, under Jonathan, was facing a lot of problems. He got away with it in 2015. 2019, we campaigned against him, this time saying he has failed in the first time, don't give him another chance. And, well, for whatever reason, he got back in. And look at where the country is. We're not going to commit that mistake again. This time, the North will interrogate every one of those candidates.
So it's not as if you rejected the APC, it was Buhari you rejected.
When? In 2019. Well, obviously, if you rejected Buhari, you rejected the APC.
So is there a possibility, is there another chance for Buhari's party, the APC, in 2023?
If it's Tinubu who is on that platform, if Tinubu convinces us, and we in turn engage other people to say we believe that Tinubu represents the best option, we would support him.
All right. Stay with me for a moment, Dr. Kimba Ahmed. Let me reconnect with my outfield guest, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo, and the official spokesperson of the APC presidential.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you, and remember this. Bye-bye. See you again.